I mean, in his particular case, I think, like to Nick's point, it does make a certain amount of sense. If you're going to date within the industry, I've talked with guys who played in the league. A lot of guys who are athletes, entertainers, a lot of them are real goofballs in real life. They're just goofballs with good genetics. So they're not like natural ladies' men, right? So they're passing around the same 15 or 20 women to S&M's point, right? So yeah, in that case, yeah, you might want to know who you've been dealing with. We've heard plenty of cases where they're dealing with their teammates or former teammates or just, you know, homeboys. So that happens a lot if you're going to date kind of in the same social circle. Now, if you're really concerned about this, you go find a little chick from a small town in Louisiana where nobody know her. You probably don't need to give her the list. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to date within your social circle, within your industry, especially like in Atlanta or LA or something like that, they're going to all the same parties, hanging out with the same people. Uh, Most of those women, they're not going to date regular guys. They're not dating down. So, yeah, I would probably want to know the list, at least just to cover myself, right? But if you're just a regular guy, I wouldn't worry about it. And past a certain age, I think Cam's in his mid to late 30s. At some point, I think I'm not asking a 45-year-old woman about her body count. That's just weird. That's another thing. At a certain point, I think you age out of it. Just enjoy your life, and if she's behaving and doing what you want her to do, just rock out with her. I'm not asking a almost half-century old woman what her body count is. That's fucking weird. I'm standing on that.
Well, hold on, real quick, right? Okay. I got a little bit of pushback, okay, because I would venture to say that if a person is going to ask about body count, there was probably a reason for them asking in the first place. It's not a question that I feel like that people probably ask all the time, right? Because we assume stuff based on how a person moves, right? You might see the girl, she's like a librarian or whatever. You're not going to think she has a bunch of bodies. I think most people generally make general assumptions. So I'm just putting the caveat that there may be a reason why that question is warranted, right? In terms of depending on how she's moving. That's number one. Number two, I want to shoot these brothers some bail. I know there's a conversation in regards to like, dating some of the same girls, but if you really think about the fact that as a famous person who's probably also rich, like where can you go? Can you just go to the bookstore and be normal like normal people? I mean, I know some of these athletes may not be that recognizable necessarily, but their schedules may not allow for them to just be out there just meeting the regular girl, right? So what ends up happening is, unfortunately or fortunately, there are women who position themselves or put themselves in proximity. And so most people go for the low hanging fruit. I'm not saying these women are that. I'm just saying that that's easy for them because they put themselves in a position in proximity of these men. And yes, so they end up picking them, et cetera, et cetera. So I do want to shoot them some bail because it's not as easy to just go out there. And then on top of that, the regular girl, does she even want to get with you for real? Because, hey, listen, it's a lot to deal with. I've heard things about you, frat guys or sports guys or whatever, right? So I just think we make it seem like it's easy. So I do understand that because of that, if you're in that environment, you do want to ask questions. You do want to make sure. I don't even think it's so much a body count question. I think it's more of a proximity. Like, who have you fucked that may be in my radius? And that's important to know because I've been out here long enough to know that some of these same niggas are fucking some of these same girls. So I think that's completely legit. But if we're going to talk about like everyday guys though, too, I mean, yes, the body count question, again, if you find yourself having to ask that question, then maybe there's enough evidence that you already know what time it is. And I think
Right.
if we're being honest, and this is what niggas won't say because we're trying to make it seem like we're too cool to be honest. If we think you're a hoe, we're just gonna treat you like one. Either we're gonna fuck with you or not fuck with you. So it's not like we make judgments. You know what I'm saying? So we act like we don't have that thought. But in truth, a lot of us already make that judgment if we're looking at you that way. Some people may choose to ask the question. I don't necessarily want to make it seem like a nigga's fucked up for asking that question because maybe he feel like he might be wrong. And then if there's a chance for them to work through that and she's honest about it, then maybe they can move on. And here's the thing, like I think people would also appreciate just honesty. I've met women who've been open and honest about their sexuality, and I found that a lot of niggas weren't necessarily turned off by that. Some of them were actually turned on by that to a certain extent. Now, granted, that may not be everybody, and it may be not necessarily for relationships, but you'll be surprised on how many niggas you can probably get to want to wife you if you sucking his dick amazingly. Like I think that's the thing that's also not said because S&M mentioned about how sluts and hoes or whoever are still getting wiped up. You know how? and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is because they're draining balls out there. You know what I'm saying? like, it's like, oh my God, I found myself here. You know what I'm saying? It's right. So
Not the value that they're providing, but they're draining
Listen, Nick
balls.
is right. You think you just going there for some for the throat growth, and the next thing you know, you guys are at the cookout with 2 kids. Like, how did
yeah,
I get here?
facts. It's just that you can't be throat goat with my homeboy though, and I think that's what gets
That's right,
lost a
right.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's not that you couldn't have had experiences. It's just that we're not prepared to want to deal with those experiences in our face. And if we're gonna be honest, nobody wants like. Come on, are we gonna be honest, fellas? Before we transition, because we have the next topic, Jay. We're gonna let. Are we gonna be honest? Do you want to be like, oh yes, this is my woman, and one of your niggas hit that? Y'all feel cool with that? Like, I mean, I know there's different lifestyles here, but let's be honest. Can we be honest or no?
You're right. And listen, real quick, I gotta call the ladies out because I think they're not being honest about this. And well, listen, to be on the one here. I'm sure, fellas, we've all had this happen. You talk to a lady at some point, and then you guys get to kind of exchanging background information, and you should be like, "Oh, I can't talk to you. You talk to my homegirl in the 3rd grade."
Yeah, be some old
Like,
stuff.
what?
Everybody's got a line, right? Everybody's got something they won't budge on, right? They've got their non-negotiables.
Yeah,
You
you
know what I
dated my
mean?
homegirl in the 6th grade. They do it. That's and them kind of nodded. I didn't know if she was gonna accept responsibility for that or
Oh, no,
not.
I'm not accepting responsibility for them because the past is the past, in my personal opinion. And so the 3rd grade is, and you're a grown ass woman, and you're talking about 3rd grade. That's
Talking her
absolute
blessings.
ridiculousness.
Well, look, like somebody said, I think Nick says a lot of hurt people, man. People carry their trauma and their pain. You know what I mean? They don't get over that 3rd grade hurt.